Hey guys, welcome back to That's Debatable. Today I got a story for y'all, and this story is about the worst content creator I've ever met. And that just starts it off so strong. So let's just get into it. So before I get this started, I'm just gonna set the scene for you guys. This was when I lived in LA, and if you guys haven't watched my past podcast episode of me talking about living in LA versus living in New York as a content creator, definitely watch that one because I'm going to be referring to it a lot. But there is an obvious difference because a difference in everything. There's a difference in the type of creators that live in LA and the creators that live in New York, the type of events that happen in LA and the type of events that happen in New York. And this is obviously everybody finds their space and everybody finds where they feel, most at home and most happy. For me personally, LA was not that for me. It was almost as if I was looking at myself and I was like, this is exactly what I don't want to become. And this is exactly what I don't want to have to do. And when I'm in New York, it's very different because I don't know, I guess New York always has like that drive in it, of that driving force of, yes, you create content, but it's almost as if it's like you can tell that these people are passionate about these things. And in LA, I think a lot of the times, and I don't want to say everybody, I'm not generalizing the entire town or city or whatever it is, um, but there is a lot more of it that you see of the fake niceties and the fake hello and da 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 da. And there's a lot more of like the clout chasing, I guess, if you want to call it that, whatever it may be. But this specific story happened when I don't know. I think I was just starting off. I just recently quit my serving job and I moved to LA and to be in a content house, which is I don't want to say it was a mistake because I'm so grateful for that experience. If it wasn't for that experience, I would probably still be serving tables. But it definitely wasn't the easiest experience I've ever gone through. And anybody that tells you when they tell you that they're in a content house, they have horror stories from it. And it's for a reason because it's just so strange. Even the concept of it is like you live with 7 to 10 other people who do the same thing that you do in the same industry on most likely the same app that you do it on. And obviously that can breed a competitive nature, which is always good. I like being in a competitive space. I think that's where I feel most at home. But it can also blur a lot of lines for people. So when your home becomes your workspace, it's almost as if it's like you can never just turn it off, especially when you live in a content house. And in this content house, one thing that they always told us was when you go out, you make sure you network with every single person that's in that room, which is great advice, right? It's amazing advice. But when the people in those room when the people in those room are not necessarily the people that you want to be tied with, makes it a really tricky thing. Like in New York, obviously you go out and you network and you talk to these people and they're good people. And to this day, I met one person at the next event. We'll continue to have that conversation or continue to, build upon that relationship. And it's very organic. It doesn't happen just like at a blink of an eye, almost as if it does in LA. So when I heard that, of just like, okay, we have to go out. And I'm also just naturally more of like to myself, depending on how much alcohol got me, hey. But just kidding. I'm totally kidding. But no, obviously, alcohol gives you a little bit of that bravery to go up to somebody and say hello. Because it's a little scary sometimes putting yourself out there, especially when it comes to content creation, when the people that you're surrounded yourself with are people that already are on like other people's For You pages, or people know them, or they have this many followers, or whatever it may be. It's just like a very, to be somebody that is not super outgoing and to be in those spaces can be a really difficult thing. And I'm outgoing, of course. Like I love talking to people, but I'm outgoing when it comes to my friends, when the people that make me feel comfortable. At that point, it was just me and my roommate and the people that were managing the house and essentially managing our careers. Who honestly, I think the only commonality that all four of us had at that very moment is none of us knew what the we were doing. And I remember they were just like, go talk to these people, go talk to these people. And I had like my own mutuals that I knew that I was just like, oh, I've seen you before. We've hung out before in LA. Like, this is fine. I can talk to you guys. It is what it is. And one thing that they will always have at these events is an open bar. And it's for that very same reason that I stated before, was it's a lot easier to go up and talk to people when you have a little bit of alcohol in you. Not to say that you need it. It's just it's a real thing. Like, obviously people know the liquid courage is a real thing. That's an actual saying. So whatever, I'm at this huge event, and I'm not going to say who the brand was, but when I tell you, it was one of the most beautiful spaces I have been in Los Angeles. Like, you couldn't even drive up to this event because it was an estate in Beverly Hills. And they had shuttle buses to bring you to the actual venue, to the actual event that's happening. And there were a lot of huge creators, like a lot of well-known people in the social media space were at this party. And obviously I was like starstruck because these are people that I used to watch when I was little. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. I can't even believe that I'm this fortunate enough to be in the same room as some of these people. Like, that's absolutely amazing. And not only just these people, their teams, because a lot of the times you guys know these people as the creators that you see on the screen, but their teams that are behind them are really who put them in the spaces that they are. So it's a great experience to be in, a great room of people to be in. And I can say this, like, Anderson .Paak was the DJ, just casually. Like, and there was a huge pool in the middle of it, and Anderson .Paak was just there, like, DJing. You can go up to him and like fist bump him. Like, it was very, they put a lot of money into this event. And at that point, I saw some of my people that I followed, and I go up to them like, hey, listen, I love your content. You do so amazing. Like keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're creating your own space for yourself, which is amazing. And super nice, super nice, super nice. And there was a point where I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not from here. I'm not from Los Angeles. And one thing that I would always get when I was in LA, it's like, oh, you're not from here. Where are you from? You're from New York? And it's like, yeah, I guess. I don't even have like a New York accent because I don't live in New York. I live in Jersey. But I guess it's so close to each other that people can kind of just be like, we can tell that you're not from the LA space of things. And I was just like, you know what? Nobody really knows me. I'm not from here. If anything, worst comes to worst, after my contract is done with this house, I'm going back to Jersey. I knew that already at that point. I was like, I'm going back to Jersey. I probably never have to see these people ever again. And if they do see me, it'll probably be on their FYPs or my FYPs or whatever it is. So I don't really care anymore. I'm here to live. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to have the time of my life and meet people and see what happens out of it. So, and not to say that there weren't amazing people, but there was this one specific person, and we were mutuals at that point, and she DM'd me. She's like, hey, I've known you for so long. I've been following your content. Like, the trajectory that you've been on is absolutely crazy. And at that point, like, every story time was getting like 10 to 15 million views per video. So it was nuts. Like, I was growing at an astronomical rate, and I think every creator goes through that at one point or another, where like you have your periods of like insane amount of growth, then it, dissipates for a little bit, and then it starts up again. So I was just like, oh my God, like, oh, thank you so much, like, I appreciate it. Like, obviously I followed her back, and I was like, oh, I love your content. And her type of content is more so of like body positivity, be kind to the world, like, putting out kindness into the world is going to do a lot more than putting out negativity. Like, always be nice to people because you never know what people are going through. And I'm like, that's such a beautiful message. Like, for you to make that your whole entire niche, your whole entire account, like, obviously you have to be a very good person and you're willing to give a lot into this world, and you're leaving a positive impact. So whatever, we DM'd, and I was like, yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Love your content, this and this and this. And she's like, oh, if you're ever in LA, let me know. I would love to collaborate. And I was like, okay, cool, great, amazing. That's easy. That's always like the DMs you always get. Like, we would love to collaborate. So I'm at this party, and I'm like, okay, yeah, da-da-da. And my roommate obviously has because it's so funny how TikTok has different sides. And there's like Latino TikTok, there's Black TikTok, which they call like Black Talk. Then there's, I guess, white TikTok. Well, white TikTok is all of TikTok, like, to be completely fair with you. And then there's like the Asian TikTok, where they do like the Korean beauty secrets and like all this. Like, so there's so many different avenues on TikTok where you can find yourself and relate to somebody. It's not just like one specific style of person. So I found my Latino friends and I was like, hey, da 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 da, like this is so cool. All of them are super nice, and I still see them every once in a while when I'm in LA. And I'm like, you guys are absolutely kind, such hardworking people. And my roommate, I don't even know where the my roommate was. She was like in the middle of nowhere. Because when I tell you this venue was so big, it was so big. Like they had at least like 6 to 7 bars just like scattered throughout the estate. Because it wasn't even just like a small. It was in a for real estate. Even so much so there wasn't like we couldn't even go into the house because the backyard was more than enough room for everybody. So I had no idea where my roommate was. So I'm at the bar. I grabbed myself a drink. I don't know where the rest of my friends are, and I'm saying hi to some people, and some people were so nice. And I see the same girl that I DM'd, and I was like, okay, I know her. Like, okay, I know her. We have talked before. You're one of the few people in here that I've actually spoken to before on the internet. I just never met you in real life. So at that point, I had like a vodka soda in me. So I was like, I'm ready. This is going to be fun. Ha ha ha. So I'm like, all right. I'm trying to like build up the courage to go up to this girl and like say hello, even though we've had a conversation before. So I go up to her and I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. I love your content. Da 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 da. And she goes to me and literally had no idea who it was. No idea who it was. And I was like, okay, this is cool. That's fine. Like, maybe you're a little tipsy whipsy, so am I. Hee hee hoo. It's fine. Whatever. I'll just let it go. So I'm just trying to, like, continue the conversation because I don't want it to be awkward, because now I don't want us to, like, do that, like, awkward stance when you stand in the club and you're talking to somebody and they're not talking to you, so you look the other direction. And I was like, nah, I don't want this to be awkward. Like, I'm really trying to, like, get out of having the social anxiety of coming to these things. Like, it's fine. I can save this conversation. I could not. And I was like, yeah. I was like, your content is so amazing. Like, you do so much, like, good. I was like, yeah, it's like, it's really nice to finally meet you. And I'm saying this because it's like, we've DM'd before. Like, we've had conversations before. And finally, like, I think when she hears that, she goes, wait, are you working the event? Or do you know somebody, like, within the brand? And I was like, because there's obviously people passing out like hors d'oeuvres and wine and whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not working the event. Like, what? And I truly, I thought she was joking. And I was like, oh, this is a little strange. Okay. And I was like, no, I'm not working the event. And she's like, oh, so you work with the person that's putting the event on. And I'm like, no, girl. Like, I mean, no, actually, this isn't even the app I work on. Nope. Nope. I was like, girl, we've DM'd before. Like, we've had conversations before. And she's like, oh, I've DM'd you? And I was like, now I'm embarrassed. Now I'm like, this is why I don't fucking go up to people like that. I was like, girl, how do you ask somebody to collaborate and have no idea who they are? And she's like, wait, no. She's like, I would have remembered you if I DM'd you. And I was like, no. Yeah, like, we DM'd. Like, you actually reached out to me. Like, that's why I came up to you. Like, I was trying to, like, I was like, but it's fine. Like, it's cool. It's whatever. Like, there's a lot of people here, I'm sure. Like, whatever. It is what it is. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, it's just like, I follow so many people. And when so many people come up to you all the time, you never know if someone's like a fan or they're just like, just somebody that's like working, wanting to give you like their props. Like, I just like genuinely, I have no idea who you are. And I was like, okay, that's not a way to say it to somebody. But like in my head, I'm like, you easily could have been like, oh my God, yes, I totally forgot. Like, wait, let me see your account. Like, that easily could have saved the conversation. Nope, she just made it worse. And I was like, oh, yeah, I guess. Like, nah, I mean, I don't know. She's like, well, I'm sure, like, you probably haven't had that happen yet, where, like, people, like, you DM people and you just, like, forget about it because, like, so many people come up to you all the time. She's like, I've had, like, at least, like, 15, like, fans come up, like, at this event alone. And I'm like, well, that's crazy because this event isn't open up to, I was like, this event isn't open to the public. It's all just creators. And she's like, yeah, but like, there's like a difference, you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between like levels of like creators and stuff like that. So it's just different, And I was like, are you trying to say like I'm a fangirl right now? I was like, girl, I'm not fangirling over you. So I look at her and I'm like, no, I don't understand. I was like, I just genuinely thought that like you DM'd me, I DM'd you. So it would have been nice to meet you in person. But like, obviously you have no idea. She's like, well, how many followers do you have? And I was like, oh, and here's like the coveted, like, here's that question that you always get in Los Angeles is how many followers do you have? Or they ask to see your socials. And she's like, because it's like, she's like, is this like your first like creator event? Like, what is it? Like 250K? Like, da 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 da. And I'm like, is this how people talk to you? Like, is this how conversations happen in Los Angeles? Little did I know, because I was like freshly new there, that yes, this is how conversations happen. Like, people don't look at you as a person or like as what your personality can offer. They look at you more so of like, how can I benefit out of what you have? And if you don't have that much, I can't benefit off of you. And if you do have a good amount of followers behind you, then I can benefit off of you. And now I'm going to be friendly with you. And I was like, why does that matter? And she's like, because like it matters. Like, and again, maybe I'm giving her the benefit of that because maybe she was just like a little drunk or whatever it may be and whatever. But I was just like, because it matters. It matters. Like, you know it matters. Like, if you have a good amount of people are coming up to you all the time. Like, I don't want you to feel offended that I didn't know you or I thought that you were working here. She's like, I just genuinely, like, I just have no idea who you are. And I was like, now I'm just standing there awkwardly. And I'm like, okay, like, this is just so uncomfortable right now. And I was like, okay, well, this is so weird. I was like, this is just so weird because I thought that you made like positive content of being kind to everybody and you're being a little rude. She's like, I'm not being rude. And I was like, you are being rude. That was rude. I was like, and also who cares how many followers I have? I was like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just genuinely out here just trying to have a conversation with you. I'm not trying to get something out of you. She's like, and I'm not trying to get anything out of you either. I'm just saying, like, I don't want you to feel offended because I thought that you were working here because you're wearing all black. So I'm going to assume that's what you're going to do here. And I was like, okay, I guess. I was like, sure. She goes, well, what's your account? Like, there's definitely no shot that I DM'd you. I'll remember if I DM'd you. So then I show her the DMs and I'm like, this is not you, girl. Then maybe did I get you wrong? Maybe you look like somebody that DM'd me and maybe I'm completely in the wrong here. She goes, oh, wait. Oh, I know you. And I was like, now I don't want to engage in this conversation with you because now you're just rude. And I'm just like, yeah, like whatever. She's like, oh, wait, yeah, I do remember you. Like, we should collaborate. Like, and I was like, so if I would have not said anything, you would have thought that I'm just somebody that's working amongst the event, which is nothing wrong with working these events. At the end, they were all human beings. We all have phones. We all have the same apps. Anybody can do what we're doing right now. So there should be no difference in how you speak to people. And I was like, well, that's crazy that you asked me to collaborate. And then when I look at you, you asked me if I'm working the event. She's like, well, that's not my fault. Like, you have to understand, like, you have 5 million people following you. You understand. And I was like, I understand what? That I'm just trying to have a conversation with. And I was like, you know what? I was like, you know what, Emily, reel it back in. I was like, because I can already feel myself getting angry. And at the end of the day, these are work events. And I was like, and I'm not trying to fight with some girl at a work event. So I'm like, you know what? Matter of fact, this was stupid. I shouldn't have come up to you at all. You're not anything like you are in your account, which is my fault. I should have known that. Like, if you're trying to push something so crazy, that's not who you are at all. Have a good night. I don't really want to partake in this conversation. And she was like, oh, so see, now you're being rude. And I was like, I'm not being. And then I was like, you know what? Matter of fact, I don't care. There's like over 100, 200 people at this event. No one gives a what I'm saying right now. Clearly, you don't give a who I am. So I'm like, I was like, first of all, I don't know why we keep throwing back who's being rude on who. I was like, I'm not being rude. I just genuinely thought that you were going to be a kind person like you are on your account. You're not that. You're a little condescending. And I was like, I don't know. Your head is just so inflated. You're not the type of person I would ever want to like collaborate with or put you on my platform. And I quite frankly don't want to be on your platform. So I'm just going to go ahead and unfollow. Because now I'm feeling a little brave. So you're not unfollow me? Like, for real? How immature are you? Like, you're a child. Like, understand, like, you clearly have never been to like events like this. You don't know how the world works around here. Like, there's a certain way you speak to people, and that's not how you speak to people, because I can easily make a video and shut everything down. And I was like, you can go ahead and make a video about me. I really don't give a fuck. I was like, a matter of fact, if you make a video about me, just tag me. So I am going to unfollow you. Matter of fact, I'm going to block you. I was like, because I don't want to be anything associated with you. And if you want to make a video about me, I have no issue talking about this conversation, because I was a person that came up to you and I was nice to you. And you looked at me and you called me a server, essentially. You said, I serve this event. Oh, you work at this event. What are you doing talking to me? Because you shouldn't be talking to me. And I was like, that's crazy that you would even ever approach somebody like that, worker or not. I was like, this is just nuts. I don't even need to do this. And then she looks at me and she's like, that's so immature. That's so immature. Once you start working in this space a little bit longer, you'll get to understand how the ropes actually work. And in a sense, she was right. Like, that is a little bit how it goes. But that's how it goes in LA. Like, you'll find that so much more in LA. That experience, I've never had an experience like that in New York where somebody will look at me, even if they don't know who I am. Like, I've gone up to people in New York and I can very much tell, like, they don't know who I am. And they'll still be, like, very, like, oh, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate that. What's your name? What's your handle? What do you do? Like, what type of content do you make? Like, they try to figure out context clues to try to figure out who you are. They don't just completely shut you down. So, I mean, that piece of advice she was right about. Like, yeah, that is LA, and that's not the first encounter that I ran into like that. There's definitely people that are a lot bigger than her that I've had worse experience about that I just can't talk about, because if I do, then everybody's going to figure out who it is. But in that specific case, she just looked around and she goes like, oh my God, she goes, you know what? Matter of fact, I'm busy and my friends are over there. Hand in my face. And everything in me was like, the Jersey girl in me just wanted to like grab the hand and, like, you know, when you grab the hand, you go, don't put your hand in my face. And I was like, ooh, 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 ooh. And I looked at her and I was like, yo, you're a bitch. Don't care. Nobody was around. My manager did hear that though. And I basically got a ass open from them. She's like, excuse me? You know what? I don't even need to deal with you. Like, the likes of you, essentially, is what she said. And walks off to her friends and starts like complaining about me. And my manager like bitched me out and was like, you don't do that. You don't say that. Da-da-da-da. And I was like, you don't. That's fine. But like, she was being rude. I was like, you were being rude. You were being rude. You easily could have just been like, call it a day. I don't know who you are. Can you remind me of your name? I'm so sorry. It's been a long night. Like, I'm a little tipsy. What's your name again? I'm sorry. In that case, you could have saved the conversation, as opposed to looking at me and being like, dismissing me, not even listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth, and just immediately being like, oh, so you work here? Can I get that? Like, no, girl, that is not how you move around the world. And again, that's a lot. And it's just a very aggressive space to be in. And not aggressive in a good way, because New York is very aggressive too, but it's very aggressive in like their work ethic. Over there, it's very aggressive, like, how many followers do you have? Why are you talking to me? Oh, you must be working here. Do you work for the brand? Because if you work for the brand, then I'll be nice. What, like, it's not, I don't know. She was just so rude, and I did block her, and I blocked her right in front of her. And she still makes content amongst those likes. But my biggest takeaway, it's like, everything you see on the internet is just not real. That was my like wake up call of that. Like, everything you see on the internet is just not real. Like, it's not, even like relationship accounts where people are like, we're promoting happy, healthy relationships, and like, you're most likely than not, like, it's not. If you make your whole account one thing of just like, I'm the nicest person ever, if you have to self-proclaim yourself as that and continue to say that and like beat it like a dead horse, I'm a nice person, this is the healthiest relationship, you should learn from me, and keep just going and promoting it, then obviously there's something within it that's not true. And I've heard a lot of like horror stories of creators meeting other creators and their heads being so big that sometimes you get put into dangerous situations. Sometimes you get completely disrespected. It's just things that happen within the space. And I think because of how big the space is now, that it happens a lot more often than it used to. And obviously at that same event, I met beautiful people that I still talk to this day. So it wasn't just like oh my God, it was the worst experience of my life. But it definitely was like an eye-opener of like, ugh, there's going to be those people that you work with that it's kind of just like, you are so terrible. And if only your audience can see how you act when the cameras are away and it's just people being people. Like that, I would love to see a reality TV show of just that, of watching creators or influencers or people in the social media space or celebrities or whatever it may be, when the cameras are off, and how they actually talk. Because when the camera's on, you have a persona and you feed into that. But when the cameras are away, I've met a lot of people that I'm like, oof, if only your audience ever got to see this, they probably wouldn't even support you because of how nasty you are as a person. And just the whole polar opposite of promoting kindness on your platform and then being a bitch in real life. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's absolutely crazy. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, it is what it is. And that definitely was like one of the worst experiences of meeting like a mutual that I've had conversations with. And I talk about it because of the fact that we had a conversation, and it wasn't like a 1-2 text message or DM conversation. Like, it was a full-on conversation where it's like, well, obviously you've probably seen my page to know my face, so that's why I felt comfortable enough coming up to you. But maybe you possibly just send out that to everybody just so you can have like collaborations, which is why I don't like to collaborate too much on my account. If I collaborate with people, it's because I genuinely wanted to and I know them and we have that like rapport with each other. But yeah, it was a little crazy, and it was a little like, if only your audience can see you behind that camera. I wonder then what they would think of you. Because I know that completely changed my point of view of you, and I for real had her blocked, and I was just like, not doing this with you. And yeah, the party was amazing though. The party was absolutely amazing. Great party. Had an amazing time, got some great pictures out of it. But like, you'll run into them, and be careful with the people that you follow. Like, just always remind yourself, because I do see that a lot of people sometimes get down on themselves when they're like, oh, why don't I have this many followers, or why can't I do this? And remind yourself that a lot of the times our jobs are to build this life up of like, everything is great and everything is amazing and this is so much fun and we're having so much fun at this, but there is a real person behind that screen. And sometimes that real person isn't that great of a person. Sometimes that real person is going through different things. Like, there's always, social media doesn't give you a lens into everything. So I don't want people to feel some type of way about themselves because they're necessarily not living out the life that their favorite creator is living, because who knows what that person is going through, or who knows who that person is. But that's why they tell you never meet your heroes. Not that she was my hero, but that kind of put into perspective of like, damn, I'm kind of scared of meeting like a Miley Cyrus in person. What if she's rude to me? And I was like, I would probably cry so hard if she was ever rude to me. But yeah, just always remind yourself, social media is not always real. Some things are real, but it's not always real. So keep that in the back of your head. But that was my worst experience. That was one of like the first experiences of me trying to put myself out there in the creator space in LA, and kind of just like essentially getting smacked in my face. And that's why I had to move out of LA, because you find that a lot more over there than you do over here. And anytime you have this, it's the same conversation in LA all the time. And I'm glad I'm not there anymore. But yeah, that was like one of my worst experiences. The other ones that I have, I don't think I can really share, because I feel like even within the context of the conversation, people will be able to figure it out. I don't think people are able to figure this one out. I don't wish her any ill harm or anything like that. Wish her the best. I hope her career continues to thrive. It's just not, I just personally never want to see her ever again. And hopefully next time she sees me, she'll probably remember my face. And if she doesn't, then girl, then maybe you got like a memory issue. You got to take some vitamins for that. Like, because at that point, like, then you're blowing mine. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, that was today's story. And that's it. That was the story for today. Be careful who you follow, and also remind yourself social media is not always real. So no reason to get down on yourselves. We're all going through our own independent things outside of the camera. You don't get to see everything. Even if the creator tells you, I tell you guys everything, they don't. They 110% don't. You may know a lot, but you don't know everything. So just remind yourselves of that next time you're like, why are they living the best life ever and I'm living? Trust and believe, people have their own things happening. But yeah, I'll see you guys next week. That's it for today's episode. Ciao.